the next session?
Uh, no, this is not possible because this is tight schedule. You know it, na?
Okay, okay, okay.
So, uh,
Yeah, sure.
uh, yes. So again, I welcome everyone. This next session. Uh, this is technical session two of the second day of the conference. Now, I would request Tania Parvin, who is research scholar in North Bengal University, to introduce today's chair. Uh,
Uh, I
Dr.
request Tanya
Adit,
to make
uh,
it short, please, for introduction. Please make it short.
okay. Thank you, Harshanda. Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all. Welcome to the Best Conference 2021 Session 2. Today, our chair of the session is MD Intaj. MD Intaj is currently working as an assistant professor of English at Netaji Subhas Open University. He has done his doctoral research at the Central Center for Comparative Learning, University of Hyderabad. His thesis titled on tradition of storytelling in the Rar Bengal, a comparative study of oral and visual art form. His primary focus is in digitization of the oral history and archer. This interest brought him closer to the several significant projects as well. So I welcome sir. We are privileged to having him for chairing our today's session. Welcome sir. I request you please go ahead. Over to you sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you all the organizing team like Jahira, Abu, Hassan, Dabakan, all. So let me first just see who are there. If people are not there, all the participants, then we can divide the time, extra time. Like as per the schedule, we have five papers. Like Savita Boral is there. Savita.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm here.
Okay. Amrita Sarkar. Amrita Sarkar. Samiya Roshni. Samiya Roshni. Okay. Third is Mary Baghwar.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
And then the last one is Anirban Acharji. Anirban. Okay. So as you see, like we have three papers, then if the time slot is for 1 hour, then I think you could get more time for your presentation and maybe you'll have more discussion at the end of the session. So we'll start with Savita Boral and I'll ask her to finish it within 15 minutes. Okay? Because we
Good
have a
evening.
lot of time, like only we have five presenters. And what
Sure,
we
sir.
see like in other conferences, we'll get less time for paper presenters. So it will be a lucky moment for you to get more time.
Yes, sir. Yes. And maybe the other participants may join us soon. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Savita Boral, and I'm a PhD scholar in North Cap University, Gurugram, Haryana. This is a joint paper. My co-author is my supervisor, but she is busy with some other schedule, so I will be soloing, representing this paper. So, kindly give me 1 minute. I would like to present my PPT. I hope my PPT is visible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay,
Can,
okay,
can you
okay,
make it like presenters view? It's fine.
okay, okay. Just a
Just
second, sir.
just do it presenters view. Okay, fine.
Fine. Okay, okay. So I have given my introduction. The paper which I'm going to present is Home is Where It All Began, a critical reading of Mahesh Dattani's play 30 Days in September. So I have been listening to the other presenters. My paper I feel is little bit different because here I'm talking about Mahesh Dattani's play 30 Days in September, which is basically talking about child abuse, a child who has been abused at home by his own uncle. So, before starting with the paper, I would like to talk about Mahesh Dattani. Mahesh Dattani occupies, we all know that he occupies a very distinct and illustrious place in the realm of Indian drama in English. He has manifested his individuality in so many things. Among modern Indian playwrights, he stands forth with singular distinctness, striking artistic perception, and immense dramatic guts. He has taken up serious problems prevailing in the urban society. His plays contain some important elements like human pathos, passions, conflict, and appeal to human sentiment, which can immediately touch and stir common audience. We can say that Dattani's plays have a universal appeal. Now, as the theme of the conference is home, homelessness, belongingness, what is the prospect of home? If we try to trace that in our literature, we will find, in the words of Jane Austen, she said that there is nothing like staying at home for real comfort. According to Robert Frost, home is the place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in. Naipaul says, home is, I suppose, just a child's idea, a house at night and a lamp in the house, a place to feel safe. Samuel Johnson marks, to be happy at home is the ultimate result of all ambition. Emily Dixon says, where thou art, that is home. What is the general perception of home? If anyone asks me, what is home for you? A home is the safest place, a place where one is free from attack, a place where one experiences a secure relationship and affirmation. It is a place where people share and understand each other. The people need not require to be perfect. Instead, they need to be honest, loving, supportive, recognizing a common humanity that makes all of us vulnerable. Home is not a place, it is a feeling. People do say, chase your dreams, but always know the road that will lead you home again. Four walls and a roof over your head isn't the only way we define the word home. Home is more than just a shelter. It's where we love, it's where we feel, it's where we can be ourselves, and it's where life happens. But what is the notion of home according to Mahesh Dattani in his play 30 Days in September? Family, home are few common elements which is often observable in Dattani's play. In this play, Dattani has brought one of the stark but yet not accepted reality of the society. He examines the concept of home through the eyes of a child who has been sexually assaulted at home and has carried the trauma with her for the rest of her life. The majority of child abuse occurs at home and is a horrific crime that is still prevalent in society. As D.S. Eliot said, home is where one begins. And same is true in this drama, in this play, in which a young girl is sexually assaulted and raped by her own uncle, rendering her helpless and mentally terrified of returning home. Dattani, through this play, has projected the psychological condition of a sexually abused child and the imprints of it, which remains as lifelong scars with her. And let us focus on the point: where does it take place? Many reports says maximum time at home by known people, relatives, and I'm sorry to say, it may hurt few, that in extreme pathetic condition, even by the parents. Child abuse for me and for anyone is a death of humanity. The sexual abuse of children in any part of the world is considered to be the heinous crime. In modern Indian society, both in rural and urban households, according to various surveys done by several NGOs and other agencies, there is a popular saying: wounded children become wounded adults, and wounded adults can destroy themselves and possibly others. In the words of Herbert Watts, child abused cast a shadow the length of a lifetime. Child abuse can happen anywhere, including your own home, by someone you trust the most. If we talk about a brief about this story, 30 Days in September depicts the raw emotion of the character and the naked realities covered beneath the cloaks of hypocrisy, shameness of behavior, social and familial relationship, silence or numbness of the people. Shanta observed silence against the molestation of her daughter Mala by her brother Vinay. She puts clock of silence for avoiding the protest for injustice. The female protagonist Mala and her mother Shanta are shown as the victims of the sexual abuse which has been done to both of them by the same person, Vinay, who is Shanta's own brother. Dattani makes it evident through the play how the occurrence of domestic violence against women arises out of the patriarchal setup, the stereotypical of gender role, and the distribution of power at home and in the society. This is basically, it's the characters are fictitious in this play, but the Dattani has got the inspiration to write this play from the Rahi Foundation. Mahesh Dattani, who is known for raising social issues through his writing, was commissioned by Rahi Foundation, an Indian organization who focus on women and child abuse cases. Dattani got familiar with the whole process of this association with members of Rahi and even met the survivors and all became participants of the journey. Three basic things were to be put in this play. The play would articulate how the survivors lives and relationships are affected as a result of their abuse. Whatever be the case, recovery is possible when women began to honor themselves and supportive spaces are provided from them to access both at home and society. And the play should serve vital purpose of breaking the silence and exposing the myth that surrounds that child abuse. The victims cannot come out and speak for themselves. If we talk about more detail about the play, this play is about breaking the silence. It is the silence and betrayal of the family that affects the readers more. Here in this play, the mother knew that her daughter was being sexually abused by her uncle at their own home, the room next to her, but still she chose to keep quiet. It is this silence that makes the abused girl feel betrayed. Every society has its own arbitrary criteria of defining the border between silence and speech, and patriarchy maintains its centrality in both ways. Hence, the play attempts to move beyond the set borders. It presents that the child who has been abused, Mala, she chose to break the silence, and she decided that she has to come out and speak about the things. But her religious mother, Shanta, historically tries to forget the abusive experiences, because she was dependent on the same person who was abusing them sexually, physically, mentally for years. The story is also about the most adored relationship at any home is the relationship between a mother and the child, being it a son or daughter. But this play is about the discordant relationship of mother and daughter. The play unfolds with the protagonist Mala pouring out her anguish to an invisible female counselor at a therapy session. The child abuse by her maternal uncle has proved a nightmare in Mala's life, leading to a bitter and emotional rapture with her mother Shanta. And due to this, Mala has no respect and love for her mother, and she considers her to be the cause of her anguish, pain, and suffering. Now, due to this child abuse which Mala has faced, it has left her life completely in a traumatic situation, and it has affected her psychologically. There are many terms used to refer its psychological maltreatment or abuse of any children. Some call it emotional, psychological, verbal. We all know about Freud. He stated that early childhood seduction caused hysteria in his female patients. He later recanted his original finding and claimed that the reports of abuse he heard from his patients were not the descriptions of real events, but his patients' expression of unconscious childhood wishes. But here, the play is completely different, because here Dattani has, through one of the characters of Mala, has tried to showcase the society that yes, these things are happening in our society, maybe next to our door. The impact of this continuous abuse is that Mala turns to be more and more flirtatious and always desiring for physical touch and sex. The play realizes its child protagonist has self guilt and redeems her. She feels the pain of sin resulting from the realization of this feeling of self guilt. She blamed herself for whatever has happened to her, and this is because her uncle has always made this clear to you that you are of no use, and it is me only who is going to love you and take care of you and your mother. So, as per the Tani in this play, home has been shown a very unsafe nest. The play is talking about the sexual assault which the child has bared at home. It is all about the pain, depression, loneliness, and isolation. And there is a one place where the character Mala, she is saying this to her friend, that I want to go anywhere in this world but not back to home. So here I would like to conclude my paper by saying, with the hope that let us all break the silence to end the violence, and it should not hurt to be a child. Let us take steps, raise our voice against child abuse. Maybe something is happening in our neighborhood. If we observe, if we hear, if we come to know about any such things, let us all take the steps together. Let us raise our voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savita, for your paper. Hopefully, we'll discuss it at the end of our session
Sure,
so we can manage the time.
sure,
So,
sure.
if we have another paper like Amrita Sarkar is there, Amrita Sarkar, okay. Samiya Roshni is there, Samiya,
Yes.
Samiya Roshni,
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
okay. Samiya Roshni is actually PhD scholar, Women's Studies Center, Vidyasagar University. Her title are like Question of Belonging, Locating Otherization of Muslims in Select Bengali Movies. Please try to finish it within 10 to 12 minutes because we
Okay.
have another paper joined recently. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today, my topic is question of belonging.
Samia
Located.
Roshni,
Yes.
I would request you to please unplug your headphone and insert it again. There is some sound is coming.
It's making noise actually.
Okay. Is it okay now?
No, no, no.
Hello. Hello.
Either you can do it directly without a headphone also is fine, I think. Is it okay if you unplug it?
Hello.
Yes, yes, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it's still making noise.
Hmm.
Anyway, carry on, please.
Then I am removing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Please remove it.
Today, my topic is question of belonging, locating otherization of Muslims in select Bengali movies. The question of belonging is instructively interlinked with the notion of space. Gopal Guru, an eminent social scientist in experience, space, and justice, theorizes how space is related with the untouchable, outcast, and subaltern groups. In the same systematic manner, patterns, through a variety of institutional mechanisms, the power, political force, hierarchical social patterns, and ideology defines space and restructure the space that Muslims occupy in society. The sense of belonging of a Muslim is systematically pushed into doubt by presenting them as potential threats to the majoritarian community. Similar patterns of defining, redefining, and confirming Muslims can be observed in Bengali films, which must be understood and interpreted. Directors and producers of film industry can produce and reproduce the content, inflections, and tones of ideas favorable to them. Over the last few years, Islamophobia and Hindutva ideology has been introduced in the Bengali cinematic landscape. This article looks at how Bengali films exhibit Muslims who are culturally confined in specific spaces, and those spaces are presented as a source of antisocial and anti-national components. This paper also explores how Muslims' sense of belonging is questioned and how Muslim bodies are portrayed as threats. The systematic process of otherization of Muslims is also examined in this article. The study's primary source is the number of Bengali films, which are Borbad, which was released in 2014, Julfikar, Gangster, Kabir, and SOS Kolkata. The setting of Bengali movies where the Muslims lives are shown are dock areas. The areas are shown in the same purpose in Srijit Mukherjee's Julfikar as dock areas consisting of Khidirpur, Metiapur's Garden Bridge is a small country inside the city of Kolkata. Yes, a country with the only without a national anthem and a flag. Mohammad Riaz, a notable journalist and critic, comments Muslim colonies in films always look greener, not because of plants silly, but green colored flags. and almost all men are wearing skull caps, kohol in eyes, and of course, many will sports beard as well. The setting of Borbad is at Metiaburuj. Khitirpur is mentioned multiple times in Kabir. The dock area is depicted in Bengali films as prime location of all illegal activities and shelter of terrorists. Gopalguru, a notable social space is culturally constructed phenomena. Historically, Muslim-dominated areas are culturally structured, restructured, and represented by the dominant social group for its hegemonic purposes through a regulated exercise. Patriarchy constructs public and private sphere in a specific way, assigning a little domain of sovereignty to women. Therefore, women are restricted to enjoy their sovereign power only over the kitchen. Likewise, Bengali films confine the Muslim population in the dock area, Khidirpur, Metiaburuj, and Garden Ridge. The confinement of Muslim population in specific location indicates the hierarchical social morphology in the films. Mohammad Riaz also tries to get answers why the Bhadralok class has no objection against the stereotypical representation of Muslims in films and has found that these localities indeed had such an image in their imagination. The configuration of Muslims' images are done in the mind of Bhadralok. The Bhadralok mind constructs images of Muslims, confines them in specific geographical locations, and creates a social as well as culturally geographical hierarchy. Thereby, they maintain their social position and confirms their places, which are hierarchically marked civilized spaces. Presenting Muslim men as orthodox, patriarchal, uncultured, barbaric, and a threat to society, the dominant class consolidates its culturally, politically, and ideologically privileged positions. This is communal identity of Bhadralok class, which Jaya Chatterjee in her seminal work Bengal Divided Hindu Communalism and Partition point out the construction of Bhadralok communal identity in culture in the first half of 20th century over even before partition. This Bhadralok communal identity expresses through various social mechanisms in different forms and shapes. The concept of ghettoization of Muslims is structured and generated by this Bhadralok ideology. The attires of Muslims. Attires are the visual imagery which reflects the cultural tradition of the people. Bengali films use token attires to represent Muslims. The binary of dress code is visible in those movies. Negative Muslim characters are visualized by their attires. They wear kurta pajama, black amulet, skull cap, having beards, use black and white checkered men's scarf. Negative Muslim women are also shown as wearing burqa and black amulet. Good Muslim characters do not use such type of attires. Rather, they wear trousers and wear clean shaved. Yasmin Khatun, a character in Kabir, appears in the first scene wearing a burqa for her conservative family. Later, she removes the burqa from before boarding the train to Howrah. She wears a black amulet around her neck. Sayyid Abdul Rahim Tunda, another aged negative character in this movie, wears a black amulet, skull cap, white kurta pajama, and has red beard. Imtiaz and Parvez, another two Muslim negative characters who are also depicted in the same style. On the other hand, Altaf Kabir, the central character and the hero of the film, is portrayed in a positive note. He does not wear the black amulet, skull cap, and does not have beards. He is presented as an epitome of educate, liberal, and a good Muslim. But in the poster of the film, he is dressed in a black and white checked men's skirts, which symbolizes his Muslim identity. So it can be said that Muslim characters, irrespective of the roles and gender identities, they are identified by their attires. In OSS Kolkata, Zakir Ahmed is presented as a similar character of Altaf Kabir in Kabir. He is presented as an embodiment of good Muslim. His attires and appearance establishes his liberal identity. On the other hand, Aftab Ansari wears black amulet, skull cap, black kurta pajama, and often pronounces the token words such as jihad, inshallah, tablighi, etc. In Monjanena, the antagonist Murad Bhai is shown wearing kurta pajama, Kohli in eyes, black amulet. Jamal, another character in Gangster, is also shown wearing kurta pajama, Kohli in eyes, black amulet, and has a chin puff. In Borbad, the same token symbolism has been used to represent the negative Muslim characters. Distortion of religion. Islam always forbids the killing of human beings, therefore, Islam has no relation to terrorism. Rather, Islam stands against any type of oppressions, misdeed, and terrorism. Bengali films such as SOS Kolkata, Kabir makes a relation of terrorism with Muslims. As a result, very subtly, the negative character distort Islam and shows that they are doing jihad for their religion. Aftab Ansari and Yasmin are such examples. In this process of making meaning and remeaning of the Quran, they successfully link Islam with terrorism indirectly. This is an utter distortion of Islam. In Gangster, Kabir, the hero of the film, has gone to a mosque and invoked God in a way it seems he is standing in front of the idol. Making God as a crime partner of Guru, the hero, the film director perhaps has given an innovative concept, but it has distorted the basic foundation of Islam. Logically, this partnership is illogical and nonsense, but this act of nonsense is promoted in a great vigor. Another Bengali film, Protighat, which is directed by Rajiv Kumar Bishwas, where Suleiman Bhai wearing kurta pajama and skull cap performing his prayer, but immediately after the prayer, he has become intimate with a woman who has not valid relation with him. He is presented as a lustrous person who does jena according to Islam and prayer. This image of Suleiman Bhai conveys a negative message for religious Muslims as well as of Islam. The binary of good Muslim and bad Muslim, liberal Muslim and conservative Muslim are constituted, defined, and presented by several social mechanisms, and Bengali movies in one of the such social mechanisms. From beginning of Bengali cinema, Muslims are presented stereotypically, but the rapid changes of presentation which has happened in the recent years. During the last few years, there has been two significant instances. One example is the Mumbai terror attack on November 26, 2008, which occurred in the city. The second noteworthy event is the shift in the political power that has occurred in 2014 in India. Political circumstances changed dramatically around and after 2014 when a majoritarian Hindu nationalist party backed by Hindutva ideology was voted to power in the country. The party supports Hinduism, further marginalizing minority communities, and has been in power since then. Nadira Khatun also draws attention to this shifting representational trends in the following way. The trends have started changing in recent times. Bengali Muslims are no longer invisible in the cinematic space, but they are represented in a negative light. Bengali films have started portraying Muslims as a religious fantasies, underworld don, or a good friend of the hero. Nadira Khatun's article Representation of Muslims in Bengali Cinema and Television, which was published in 2017. The tendency is in the depiction of Bengali Muslims in cinematic space, as Nadira Khatun elaborates, has been changing through time. And this trend has been portraying Muslims in a more negative ways in recent years. The creation of good Muslim is a recent production of Hodrolok hegemony. This dominant hegemony creates one single Muslim character as a good Muslim, and the rest of the people of the communities are bad Muslim. In SOS Kolkata, Zakir Ahmed is presented as a good Muslim, and the rest of the Muslim characters, as well as religious elements, are presented as a bad or as a threat to other communities. To a good Muslim, it is necessary to prove his love for the country and, even if necessary, ready to give life for the country. Even they are not so-called religious and believe in interreligious marriage. Zakir is a such type of good Muslim who says to his wife Sanjana, "There are so many Zakirs who have to die for the country. This country is also my family." Like Zakir, Altaf Kabir, a DSP in Kabir, also presented as a good Muslim. On the other hand, Aftab Ansari and his gang in SOS Kolkata, Yasmin, Parvez, Imtiaz, Syed Abdul Rahim Tunda, and others in Kabir are presented as a terrorist who believe in jihad and loves his religion. This is a unique combination of Bengali films that relates Islam with terrorism. In other words, Bengali films present terrorism in such a way as if most Muslims are terrorists and most terrorists are Muslims. Representation of Islam through bad and negative characters is important to notice because they distort religion and its rituals, and its distorted images of Islam are consumed by the audiences largely, which promotes Islamophobia. It is also interesting that the correct interpretations of the Quran are done either by the good Muslim or a non-Muslim or both. Zakir and Sanjan are such examples in SOS Kolkata. A the violation of human rights are being committed against Muslims by Bengali cinema because it always connects Islam with terrorism. This presentation damages the images of Muslim communities as a whole and it affects audiences bitterly. The mass media has the unique ability to introduce elements into individual consciousness that would not otherwise appear here, but which will not be rejected by consciousness because they are so widely shared by the cultural community as to be acceptable. These Bengali films inject Islamophobia into individual consciousness. Therefore, this cultural and popular media Muslims are represented as other and a threat to majority community. The dominant Bhadraro class rules the subordinate communities largely. Marginal groups and communities are defined, structured, restructured according to their perspective and ideologies. Muslims are in Bengali films represented in wishes of the Bhadralok hegemony, and most of the audience, even most of the Muslim audiences, expresses no objection against this type of representation. They give their consent, validate, and assert this type of representation. This type of stereotypical representation of Muslims do not happen in Tollywood. A great number of Bollywood films has been produced where Muslims are shown in the same pattern, sometimes even more negative ways. Yes, sir.
Samya, is it done? Thank you. Thank you, Samya. I will get back to you after all the presentation is done. Now, next we have Mary Baghwar.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Mary Baghwar is a PhD scholar from Lovely Professional University, Punjab, and her paper title is Successor's Challenges at Work, emphasizing the importance of human rights from the select soft fictions of George Saunders. Please go ahead. You have 15 minutes time. You have, I think, ample time. Please present your paper.
Okay, sir. So just a minute. Let me present my paper.
Yeah, sure. Do you have a PPT?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I hope it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone present here. And this is Mary from Lovely Professional University, Punjab. And this is the topic that I'm dealing with. Not This is not a whole of my research. This is just a tiny part of my research. And so I thought of bringing out this paper since it is quite relatable for this conference. Surreptitious challenges at workplaces, emphasizing the importance of human rights from the select short fictions of George Saunders. And here, surreptitious challenges, I meant not only furtive challenges, but few hidden challenges at workplaces. We will see with the author that I'm dealing with, that is George Saunders. I'm working on George Saunders' works. We'll see the introduction, aim of the paper, characters, importance of human rights, rights at workplaces, division in the society, Semplica girls, conclusion. The author. Before I go towards this slide, I would like to say that George Saunders, I'm so sorry for the background noises. Okay, so George Saunders is an American writer, and presently he is working as a professor at Syracuse University in America. And his unique okay, first let me tell his works, that what are his specialization: short stories, novels, essays, novellas, and few of the collection of short stories in a book. So this is his unique way of portraying few themes and messages through his stories. Saunders brilliantly portrays a clear image of reality through the characters in his work. This is a very important line, because when we study, when we read his works, when we go through his books, we understand that this problem is mine. This maybe I have faced this problem. We have already gone through this problem. So he is such a realist, like he is such a reality writer, that he catches the attention of the readers very brilliantly. Saunders is well known to be a merciless writer at times. This is the statement made by the critics. Why he is called merciless writer? Because he do not, okay, while he portrays his stories, while he writes his stories, he do not see what is going to be the consequences. He simply ends the story. Maybe it can be fatal ending, it can be deadly ending, and then he faces the criticisms, but he says that this is the truth. Truths are always bitter, and we do not accept it. So this is the critical comment, that Saunders is well known to be a merciless writer at times, and he takes this statement as an encouragement and as a compliment. Yet his stories are quite ethical, where most of the readers fail to understand his writings. His stories are not empty satires, nor the bowls for very ironclad ethics. Since if we understand, as I told you, that George Saunders is a short story writer, but when we listen that he's a short story writer, so we immediately imagine it will be more benefiting for the children. It will be beneficial, or it will be more exciting for the children to read, but it is not in that condition. Short stories of George Saunders is, I told you, as he's a merciless writer, so those short stories is for the adults to read, and it is sometimes difficult to understand. That is why there are various critical comments that he faces. Yet moral narratives establishing going ongoing research. Saunders has created an incredible story with the petty intentions hidden in it, and letting the readers observe and analyze his various motives in his stories. I wanted to highlight this last line because Saunders, his another unique quality is his stories will be very entertaining, very captivating, but then we realize at the end that this story had some hidden meanings, some hidden messages and lessons to deliver to his readers. This particular research attempts to go beyond the study of the rights to have rights. Every individual is their own leader and a master of their lives. Saunders, through his works, has emphasized the human rights and its importance. The characters in his stories are victims of unwelcomed behavior in the workplaces. Saunders also have accentuated the forgotten third world women. Hannah Arendt petitions that the acknowledgement itself exemplifies differences. According to the announcement, that is declaration, according to some declaration she is talking about, it is she is not only mentioning about her country, she is mentioning generally in the world. It is required that states safeguard the common rights of all human beings. Although the modern government is appreciative of its sovereignty and power, therefore, the rights of people get buried. My aim of the paper is the aim of the paper is to discuss about the rights of the human beings, especially at workplaces. To draw an attention towards the third world women, divisions of groups in the society, victimhood due to the atonement of power in one hand. My motive of bringing out these characters for this conference, in this paper, is the motive is to know that they have this Jeffrey, Semplica girls, Mary, Floyd, and normal groups of people. They have the similar problem as common man, as we face in the society, face in our life. Um, the stories that I have taken is 10th of December and Civil War Land of Bad Decline. So this story, these two books of George Saunders, they illustrate the problems, the societal issues that are faced in the common man's life. Firstly, Jeffrey is an employee in one of the company, and he is, he feels that he has no right to. Okay, now if I'm talking about human rights, it doesn't mean just the rights of speech, right to, you know, actions, right to have. There are many rights in our country according to the constitution, but here it is not only those rights that we talk about. There are some hidden rights, like right to have peace and harmony, right to be yourself, right to self. Okay, so Jeffrey is not having that right. He feels that within himself. In the story of 10th of December, he feels that he has no right to self, no right to no right to behave as he wants, no right to live well, no right to peace and harmony, because just because of his physical um, appearances, because of his overweight. He is overweight, or let us say, maybe because of obesity. He's made fun, he's teased in the company, he is mocked, he's bullied. So that, it almost hampers his mindsets. Next one is Semplica girls. Now, Semplica girls, this is the modern, let us say, problem in our society. This is long back, we have been hearing third world women. But the question is it abolished? Is it away from the society? No, we still have third world women. They are still somewhere at the corner of the world. We do not know what are the problems they are facing, because they have to sell themselves to the rich, or the you know to the high class family, to work in their family, to work as servants, as slaves also. So George Saunders' idea is to portray the third world women, that has already been forgotten. Now, another character, Mary, she is a 92-year-old woman, and she has to live, she has to make her living at this age. Even at this age, she is earning, because she has no one to look after. She has nobody in her family, and she has lost her husband. And then at this age, she is making her living. So as a senior citizen, we are taught in our family, from our family, we are taught in our schools, we are taught everywhere. It is mandatory that we give some respect. We give utmost respect to the senior citizens. But Mary is not given even one chance to speak out for her defend, because when for a very little mistake in the company, in her work, in the museum, she works in a museum, her boss, the manager, he fires her, and she gets no other chances or opportunity to explain the problem. So this is another problem that we face in the workplaces. Now, in the society, this is how George Saunders has divided in the groups in the society. The physically challenged people were known as flawed, and the better ones, the good ones, were not known as normal. So this is again, discrimination, disparity that is seen in his books. Importance of human rights. I'm not going to read all these things. I'll just read what George Saunders is trying to. George Saunders and Arendt, the one whom I'm reading as a theorist. Okay, so this is George Saunders, an American writer. He precisely draws a clear picture of the encroachment towards the minorities in every corner of the world. most of the sovereignties possess the power to fling their dominance upon subordinates. Saunders sets an orb of numerous catastrophic events in his works in the form of fictional stories providing the social issues sneakily. That is, I told you, as he provides his stories as a entertainment, as enjoyment, but there is a hidden message and lesson to be delivered. According to Arendt, the rising problems in the rights of human beings are completely entrenched with the inflation of nations' power and supremacy, which goes against the, in quotes, I have quoted this, sovereignty of individuals, which every individual should understand that the government or a rule is made by the group of people. Therefore, the power is in the hands of the citizens, whereas the ruler has to protect those power. Rights at workplaces, as I have already narrated few of the stories of Mary, of Jeffrey, and they have been facing these kinds of problems in the workplaces, and these workplaces problems, the malpractices in the workplaces, are not so much seen, they are not so much explored, so they are not so much disclosed. That is why there are some writers like George Saunders, the authors like George Saunders, they want to highlight those things which are forgotten, which are not so much taken care of, which are not focused. This is again about Jeffrey and Mary and the Semplica girls. Let me discuss more about Semplica girls, why they are named as Semplica girls. Before that, we would like to discuss about the division in the society, like how flawed and normal, how they are named. Just see the names. Flaw is itself says that there is some problem in them. The flaw, the mistake, the error, and the normal or pures. How can somebody just being a human being can divide other human beings into two groups? So this is another problem that the society is facing today and from the very beginning. Semplica girls, as I was saying, that they are also known as third world women. They are forced to sell themselves as a lone ornament to survive and take care of the family. The Semplica Girls' Diaries is a story. Okay, this is from 10th of December. Semplica girls are those ladies who live in poverty and are forced to sell themselves to wealthy houses as a lone ornament. Now, the interesting part is the sarcasm. Now, in sarcasm lies here that Semplica girls are known as poor girls, they are known as forgotten people, women, they are known as third world women, the poverty stricken women. But when they are sold to rich, what are they symbolized as? They become the symbols of wealth and high status of the family. See the sarcasm, how George Saunders has beautifully um, illustrated the sarcasm about Semplica girls. We call them as third world women, but when they are sold, they become the symbols of wealth in the family. On the other side, highlighting the importance of rights, where those women being illiterate were likely to face their situation, but surprisingly, the reaction of the society admiring the status and possession of this particular American family was astonishing, at the same time unexpected. What we always think about the rights of the people, and then we always think about the peace and harmony in the family, in the society, but this is just like a theory. We do not follow it as practical. When we see something wrongdoings, something malpractices, something wrong happening in our neighborhood, we do not raise our voice. This is what Saunders is trying to say. We are literate, we are educated, but when something happens to some other people in our, let's take maybe neighbors or in the society, we remain very quiet, because that is a symbol of wealth and that is their family, that is their life. Okay, so this is how I would like to conclude by Arden's how she has made her conclusion about the rights. It is said that the only path to protecting the rights lies in a huge enveloping order that leads to membership in a community of politics. Now the question arises. I'd like to end with the question: how many people from various backgrounds can enroll in the community? Therefore, this becomes impossible and the rights remain unprotected. So my research is still ongoing, and hopefully I would I do not know how well I can come up with the conclusion of these rights to human rights, and not only the rights that we learn in constitution, but the rights which are hidden and not discussed at all. So this is how I would like to conclude my paper. I hope I have satisfied my the topic of my paper. And lastly, I would like to thank the base conference for giving this opportunity, and I also would like to seek further for other publishing and other conferences. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. You have done well for your presentation.
Thank
So
you.
I just uh, call up the names who are not present
Okay,
earlier.
I'm stopping to present now.
Yes,
I'm, okay,
yes.
okay.
I just call the names who are not there in our beginning session. Amrita Sarkar is there for the last time, and then we'll go ahead. Anirban Acharji is not there. So we'll start with Savita's paper. I think most of the, like all the papers are excellent in design and also for the presentation. So when I listen to Savita's paper, I just remember the words like home sweet home and how it's ironical, right? Because and you also title it like home
Is
is
where it
where
all
that
began.
all begins. So I remember that phrase like home sweet home and how it's ironical for a child uh, concern that is there in your paper. And for Mahesh Dattani, I see the most of his writings are basically, burning issues, social
Burning
issues.
issues, yes, sir.
Yeah,
The stark realities of the
yes, yes,
society.
reality. So I have just inquiry, or maybe if you have in mind, like what could be the memories of the child when he's not child anymore? For example, when he's grown up, when she's grown up, and anything is any details are there in the drama that
Yes, yes. Actually, the play starts this way that the child is sitting in front of an invisible psychiatrist, and a session is going on, and she is having carrying a doll in her hand, and that doll is that I have mentioned in the full length paper, that the doll is basically not, when we see a doll, it is the toy, the favorite toy of any, especially a girl child, right? But that doll is basically the symbol of all the agony and pain which she has bared. Now she is in her adolescence age. She is working somewhere, and but this child abuse, which the rape, the sexual abuse which she has faced in her childhood till the age of 13 or 14, maybe, I'm not getting the exact number, and I think that Tani has not clearly mentioned the age, but I think till 14 or 15 years she was sexually abused. Now the thing is that the ill effects of that is that, first of all, she is not in good terms with her mother. She is very violent. She is not at all in good terms with her mother, because she thinks that whatever has happened to her, it is only because of her silence, because she never protested. Now the reason got, the reason was made clear at the end, that why the mother never responded, because the mother was herself abused by her brother when she was small, and the result was that she could not have a happy married life. Mala's father left them because Shanta, Mala's mother, she was unable to, have a good relationship with her husband. And the reason was that she was abused when she was child. Same thing is happening with Mala as well. She wants to go. There is a boy named Deepak who wants to, be with her, marry her, and they want to settle down. He wants to settle down, but she is always in a fear. She has become very flirtatious. She is always looking for men. She is always looking for sex. She is always looking for physical touch. So this is basically the whole thing, the whole scenario, the sufferings which, the impact of the child abuse, the sufferings of it is continued with her. And as I mentioned, sir, that this play is, although Mala, Shanta, they are, fictitious characters, but the Tani and has was a part of this association, Rahi Foundation, who is specially working on these kind of issues. And he had a detailed discussions. He spent, I think, an year with those children who were sexually abused, and also the story came out this way.
yes, and that is why, like I have pointed out also, that most of his stories or of his element comes through his activism or maybe
Yes,
direct
although he is
contact.
not agreeing to this, like because last year I had an interaction with Mahesh Satani in one of the conferences, not conferences, it was a reading session. So I asked him, and he denied that no, no, I'm not a social activist. But always we don't have to be, we need not bear that tag of activism. We can do it through our writings, we can do it through our presentations as well.
Thank you. And that is why, like, when her mother is silent for her daughter, it's a kind of repetitive in nature. Maybe it will become again for her child also, or maybe again that
And
will
sir,
come.
if you read this play, you will find that this is actually, real. It is not only in the case of child abuse, even in the cases of domestic violence. Many
Yes,
a
yes,
times
yes.
when the girls are domestically, they are violated because of dowry and all the things. They complain about this first. They complain it about this to their mother. But I hope these things are not happening now, because women are getting educated. They are getting, equal opportunity at the workplaces. They are well aware of the norms, laws, and everything. But I have seen people, like, it is something which I have practically seen. They have complained it about to their parents, especially the mother. But the mother said the simple thing ki thoda sa adjust kar lo,
Adjust
thoda
kar
sa
lo.
ye kar lo. So this
Yes.
adjustment has basically made the patriarchal system go very high, and
But
that
it's
has to
changing.
be.
Actually, it's changing. And this nature is changing. Now people are protesting. People are coming with their own notion of
Mm,
talking all these. So this thing is happening, and this silence is actually breaking now. It's not that. That's why
yes, yes,
people
yes,
are
yes,
writing. People are talking on this, right? So
yes, sir.
thank you, Savita, for your paper. It's a wonderful paper. I think I have not read the story. Maybe I'll read the story now.
So you can
It's
see
very.
this play, with this play has been staged many a times, and the various groups, various theater groups have done this. So you can see it on YouTube also. There are various links, various channels who make this. And really, it will shake us within if you see and if you read the things. And I can say that some of us may go back to our past, and just, some memories may come out where we might not have realized that, okay, that was also a kind of abuse which we have faced.
Thank you, Savita. So I'll
Thank
go
you, sir.
to Samia's Roshni's paper now. Hopefully, we have 5 more minutes. So Samia's paper also wonderful paper, and I think this is not only for the Bengali-centric movies. Even it's a global crisis in the sense, like even in Bollywood movies or Hollywood movies, if you see, most of the things are talking about like everything is against this Muslim identity, and the idea of authorization is everywhere, right? The dress code they're presenting, the colonies, and the key tone of the our conference is also talking about this, like belongingness and also and a home. For example, when you're talking about these colonies, like all the Meteor Bruce colonies and all, you're talking about how this boundary making is going on, right? Why such kind of geographical hierarchies and why such boundaries? And why, again, even I personally feel like even I visited in different places in Murshidabad district, and people say, no, this zone is not for a Muslim. You cannot live there. People not give you rent. People not give you, sell you their home or your flat, and everything is happening. So, do you think that such movies that you have selected, is there any kind of binary opposition like good Muslim and bad Muslim? Do you think they have depicted it well, or there is nothing as such? And as you're talking about the role played by Bhadralok communities or Bhadralok people, do you think they are always silent, or sometimes they speak uh, about this also? So my question is like they are maybe they are talking about marginalization, all these movies. So they can talk about something like empowering communities or some kind of educational issues they can talk about, right? So instead of talking all these issues, they're talking something like their dress code, their the language, and also the bad Muslims. So finally, my inquiry is like, is there any kind of depiction of good and bad Muslims in the selected movies?
Yes, sir. There is a depiction of good and bad Muslim. Good Muslim are represented as logical, not so much patriarchal. They are and the bad Muslims are illogical. They only thinks about the religion. They only loves to do jihad, and they do not. They are orthodox and too much patriarchal. They do not want their girls to be educated. All these types of all these types of images are seen in the bad Muslim. And of course the beard, the skull cap, and the amulet they wear, the it is only shown in the good Muslims. Sorry, in the bad Muslims only. The good Muslim did not wear black amulet or a skull cap or kurta pajama. And the one thing they represent here, that the scarf, black scarf, we cannot see here the people are wearing black scarf in marketplace or somewhere else. So they represented in that way
Thank you,
the
Sam.
Muslims.
Thank you, Samia. You have done well, and your presentation also interesting, I think. And maybe we'll read more on the subject. Thank you, Samia Rosni. Now, I am talking only. Maybe I'll ask some other people, other participant. If you have any question, please go ahead with any of the participant. Is there any questions or any comments or any suggestion? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, so we'll go to the next paper, that is Mary's paper. I think this
Yes.
like him. Okay. Anyone?
No, no, it's me, sir. It's me.
Okay, okay. I can see you, that's why. So I think your paper is also interesting and also I think unique in nature because this human rights and we always talk about exploitation or we talk about harassment and these things. But when you're talking about human rights, not only in general term, or you're
Yes.
talking about some kind of hidden issues, that is, you're talking about right to self or right to behave as the character wants, right? For example, their sovereignty of the individual. And also, you're talking about division of the society or the division of the groups, like sometime maybe fat or sometime thin or something black, something white, certain kind of things are always there in workplace. Don't you think is it this is not only the global south problem or um, the problem that is happening all over the world, or it's happening only in certain selected spaces? What is your opinion on this?
No, 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 no. It is completely all over the world. It is global problem. Let us make it like globalized problem.
Mm.
And if I suppose we just talk about certain places. For example, the author George Saunders, he has mentioned few. Maybe he has mentioned of America. Okay, and Ardent, the one who has written about human rights. Maybe she mentioned about UK, but the thing is, generally they are portraying about the world. Generally, what really is happening around the world. That is why sometimes the unique or one of the unique quality of George Saunders is he is not. Naming like how Ruskin Bond doesn't name his characters. Similarly, even George Saunders is not naming few of the characters. Like he has just mentioned flowers and normals. Now we do not know who are flowers, who are normals, because he don't want to directly hurt the person. And very basic. Like that is why I've taken some names out from his work so that I can name it in the conference or maybe in the, while talk or while speech. I can just name it like Jeffrey. I can name it like Mary. I can name it. But Semplica girls now. Let's come to Semplica girls. Now they are not named, so that uh, we understand that there is a hitting satire, and secondly there is a common problem, whatever the common issues that a common man is facing, he wants to portray towards, he want to illustrate this towards his through his stories, that yes, even you might be facing this, even I might be facing this. So this is his general idea. So definitely it is global problem. It is not only it is not only through one corner of the world. It is generally centralized. Yes.
Thank you, Savita. We have already finished our time. I think 7 is our last time, so we have to end our session. And thank you very much, all the paper presenters, and especially all the base organizer for organizing this for wonderful event. I think the other session also be exciting one. Please join, and we'll end our session here only. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So Bapin is here.
Hi, Tanmay. I'm here.
Yes.
ঠিক আছে আচ্ছা
Okay.
no issues.
Yes. Yes.
So
So
thank you.
I would request Professor Nargis Ahmed, the professor in the Department of Nursing, Alia University, to deliver a formal vote of thanks, a very short vote of time. Over to you, Nargis.
Thank you, Tanmay. Good evening to all of you present here. On behalf of Bengali Academy for Social Empowerment, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Intaj, Assistant Professor Netaji Subhas Open University, for chairing session 2 of the second day of our 3 days virtual conference. Thank you, sir, for being here with us. So I
Thank
also
you.
would like to extend thanks to presenters of today's session 2, Ms. Savita Boral, Ms. Samiya Roshni, and Ms. Mary Baghwar, who are the Ph.D. scholars, for their presentation. I would also like to offer a sincere thanks to the organizers and the other base members who worked hard to conduct this conference. And a special thanks must go to our audience and participants who are always there with us, and whose presence made this program a success. So thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you all.